Open Minds Media. The reality we live in can be a very strange place. Most of the time, fact being stranger than fiction. How will we ever start to understand this reality we live in unless we question everything? Join me and a guest as we unravel the mysteries of this reality, one topic at a time. This is Inquiries for Reality with Shayn Jones.
What is up, Inquirers, and welcome to the expanse of deep, open-minded conversation. I'm the one they call Shane, and today for you guys, I have somebody who came on one of the really early episodes of the show, sharing some of his past life regressions. And at the time, he hadn't fully completed them as far as figuring out what the last component of it was. But today, he's actually done that last experience, and he wanted to come back on the show to talk about that experience. And of course, if you guys haven't listened to that episode, which is way back in the feed, we actually make reference to the number once we start up the episode and everything. We do cycle back through all of it, so you don't necessarily have to go back and listen to that episode, but if you guys want to get more fine details, you can even listen to it after this episode. Don't forget to go back and check that one out, and I will make sure that I include it in the show description for a link to it so you guys can find it quick and easy. But before we get into this episode today, of course, got some news and updates and front of house. I know I'm going to keep talking about this one, but I want to make sure that I promote all of this stuff properly. The Open Minds Media merch store, I have dropped 4 new designs over there, and of course I restructured the store to make it a little bit easier to navigate, not as much BS just kind of thrown in over there. I do have a lot of new stuff that I'm going to be working on for the Open Minds Media merch store. Of course, it's not just going to include podcast designs. I'm primarily going to be focusing on conspiracy, cryptids, UFO, alien, paranormal, all that kind of cool stuff as far as designs go. Try to create somewhat of like a brand name for Open Minds Media under also doing t-shirt designs. So if you guys are interested in all that kind of stuff and you guys want to help me try to build that aspect of the show up, if you guys wouldn't mind going and checking out the merch store, seeing if there's any designs that you guys really like. And of course, if there are designs that you guys would like to see about different cryptids and everything that you can't find shirts for, let me know and I could definitely work on that. And of course, I will include the link directly to that down in the show description, along with Cryptid10 to receive 10% off at checkout. And moving into front of house, if anyone has an encounter to report, you guys can report those to ommencounterreports@outlook.com. Doesn't matter how big, doesn't matter how small. I want to hear about your guys' experiences, and I'm always here to be a listening ear for you guys. And I'm just going to throw this in now because it's very important, and I want to be able to add some more onto the show and be able to read them on the show. If you guys don't mind leaving a review or rating for the show, it's a great way to support the show. And of course, if you guys leave a 5-star on iTunes, I will read on the show and give you guys a massive shout out. And something else that I also wanted to kind of do is for every 10 reviews that I get for the show, I'm going to do some type of a giveaway for those 10 different people. It'll be a matter of a raffle between those numbers. I believe it'll be 10, maybe 20, depends on how many reviews or all of that start coming in. But I want to keep promoting the show, make it so that it can get even bigger this year, and make it so that more people are coming in and sharing their experiences. And hopefully we can form an awesome community. I'm going to try to focus on that and keep building it up with you guys this year. But I won't be able to do that, of course, without any of your guys' help. And the other way you guys can support the show, since I already mentioned the Open Minds Media merch store, is through the Patreon. Updated those tiers, so there is a $1, a $3, and a $5 tier. And of course, there is a 7-day free trial available for all of those. There will probably be some more things added on coming soon that I've been kind of tossing around in my mind. But if anybody has any input as far as things they'd like to see for the Patreon, I'm always all ears, and I would absolutely love to hear about them. And if you guys enjoyed this show and you guys haven't already checked out Bizarre Encounters, highly recommend that you do. That's my other show that I do with my awesome co-host Orin, deep diving into a multitude of different topics, all kind of staying within the same realm as the stuff that we talk about on this show, of course, just done in a different format. And we also do a YouTube/Patreon exclusive show called Bizarre Inquiries. We are restructuring that a little bit, so it will have a bunch of different vibes to it depending on which episode it is, but we're kind of going to make that our catch-all for a bunch of different ideas we want to put together and all kind of fit it under the Bizarre Inquiries umbrella. So if anybody has any questions that you guys want us to discuss on that show, or if you guys have any video clips that you guys want us to discuss on that show, feel free to send those in, and I, of course, will give you a shout out on the episode that we talk about what you sent in. And if anybody wants to stay up to date on the show or on Open Minds Media as a whole, you guys can always check me out on Instagram, Facebook, Discord, YouTube, and TikTok. And of course, every single thing that I mentioned today is all available in the link tree, which is available down in the show description. And with that, let's get into the show. Please welcome back to the show. It's been a very, very long time, episode 90 to be exact, but please welcome back to the show, Jordan Troche, author. How's it going today, man?
Hey, brother. How you doing, man?
Dude, absolute pleasure to have you come back on, man. It's one of those things that, like, you end up recording so many episodes because this is episode 247, and sometimes you forget about, like, the little things you leave in the past where you're like, oh, when you come back to that, let me know about it. And it was funny, right before we started, it was like, I remember talking to you, but I didn't remember our full conversation, and then you started getting into detail, and I'm like, oh, it all flooded back, man. So I'm excited that you at least remembered to come back on to retell the rest of the experience and stuff, man.
Back in that original one, we talked about, my life and shadow people and, weird stuff I've seen and heard, and I saw a UFO and I was almost abducted by a UFO. And then I prayed to Michael the Archangel and Jesus, and it all stopped, all that stuff where they were trying to take my spirit out of my body, which, by the way, the episode is dope. So go listen to it if you don't know what I'm talking about, because it's very crazy. And it was a good episode.
Episode 90 to be exact. So everybody remembers again.
And then part of all of that was a past life regression that I did. So I came on, I think it had to be 2020 or 2021. So I'd say it was a while, because I came on after I did the past life regression, which I've never done that. And that was the thing that kind of sparked. I got into a bunch of different podcasts just from that experience. And then all the other fun stuff, the shadow people and, noises and all the ghostly stuff I've had in my life.
I think I originally found you off of Bo's podcast, so Bump. So it was a long time ago, man.
Yeah, and I'm actually going to go back to his in a couple weeks too to talk about the last past life I did. So, in the original one, there was 3 doors that I had an opportunity to go through, and I went through 2 of them. And the third door, it was not right at that time to go through it yet, so I didn't during that one session. And it took about 4 years for me to kind of just feel like it was the right time to go and try to do this again, to get into that last door. I guess my soul was ready for whatever was behind it. You want me to recap the other memories? I mean, they're pretty deep stuff. I can do it pretty quick if you want, if you don't mind.
I was going to say no rush at all, since it's been so long since you've been on the show. I'm sure there's a bunch of new listeners that just want to listen to the new episode, may not want to go back. So at least fill them in on the whole door story, have it all just within one episode. You're more than welcome to go back to the very beginning and tell every detail you want, man.
Okay, cool. So my life has been a lot of paranormal. I'm Puerto Rican, so my family is, we don't pretend it doesn't exist, right? We were all open about it. Everyone in my family has had experiences of way different things, shadow people, voices. An aunt was like choked by something at night when she was a kid, like just a lot of crazy stuff. So we're all very open about all that stuff. But it all kind of, for me, kicked off around 12 years old when me and my group of friends saw a UFO in the sky that kind of chased us a little bit on our bikes, and then we kind of went in the house, and But from that experience, if I think back, that's probably the genesis of other paranormal experiences. It's the first one I have memory of. There are family stories where when I was an infant in my crib, where someone came down to get me, and there was a floating orb above my bassinet, my crib. So there's people tell that story. I don't remember that, obviously. And then there was a story once where I was a little baby in my crib, and then they saw a creepy shadow ghost face in the mirror watching me. We used to live in New York, so there's like a basement, and then there's that little window. It was in the window watching me, and it disappeared when my parents came in. I don't remember any of this. This is just stuff that parents, stories, family story. So I guess I've been watched for a long time by the other side. But my first memory is the UFO experience, which was not fun, obviously terrifying. I saw a ship, 4 lights, the whole thing. I've never had missing time ever in my life. But I was deeply afraid of aliens, and X-Files did not help that, because I used to watch that with my dad all the time too.
Man, when I was a little kid, I love X-Files now, but just to throw in a funny detail, when I was a kid, I walked out, maybe I was like 3. My parents got divorced when I was 4, but I walked out sometime before then, and I remember there was this part where there was like a red light and like an alien that popped in through like this little like glass, and it was playing the X-Files song. And it may have been like an ad or something like that for it, but I was like freaked out to watch that show, like subconsciously, like forever, because of that happening when I was a kid. And then rewatching the episode as an adult, I was like looking for that exact scene to be like, that's what I was freaked out with. No, I wasn't able to find it. That's why I thought maybe it was just like an ad or something like that, because I don't know why the music would have been playing over the main episode anyways. So it was probably just like a Fox ad or something like that.
But that show, I mean, it's terrifying. So growing up and I'm seeing shadow things, and my parents got divorced when I was like 13. It was really bad, and it attracted a lot of darkness to the house where there was just craziness going on. And of course, that's scary, obviously. Like, seeing a shadow person in your door or waking up at night, that's terrifying.
Man, I went through the same experiences too when I was a kid, so I can completely relate.
It's horrific. But as I got older, I started realizing that I'm stronger than they are, because I'm physically in the world. They're not. They're on the veil, or they're on the other side, or whatever the hell they are, but they're not in the physical reality that we are in. So once I kind of clicked and I was able to, I've saged my houses. That works. I still don't know why it works. I've tried to research the sage stuff, but it works. It kicks off negative stuff out. I've told them to leave before, and so I'm not really scared of any of that. My 20s, my 30s, I'm 38, so I was never really scared as an adult of those things, because I've experienced them my whole life. But the one thing I was scared about was aliens, because to me it's physical. They abduct people. It's a different thing. It's not a ghost, or it's a physical. In my mind, originally was it's here. It'd be like walking in your house and there's a werewolf standing there. Like, it's a physical thing. Like, you're done. It's game over.
It's kind of scary both ways, because it's like, one, you can't do anything because it's non-physical. And the other one, it's physical, so you could theoretically try to like hit it, but you don't know what the reaction might be, because it's going to be able to grab you back, Well,
that's the other thing. Like the whole UFO thing, they have this technology. They might be from other planets. They're probably from this planet. There's a lot of all that going on. But regardless, they're more advanced than you, so they can do what they want. Like, that's always been my fear. I'm sure X-Files didn't help that. I'm sure Fire in the Sky really didn't help that fear. And, Fourth Kind was a terrifying movie. I remember, I was an adult. I was like, that movie's fucking crazy. But the whole abduction thing, like, that was my biggest fear, because, these people who get abducted, they don't remember it, and then they do a regression and they remember, all that stuff. So when I was an adult and I woke up with the blue light in the room and my soul's being pulled out, because that's what was happening, I freaked the fuck out, because that's it. Like, it's a UFO. Like, you're done. What can you do? And I remembered a Reddit post, funny enough, of someone who was getting abducted, and they started praying, and it stopped. And thank God that popped in my head in that moment, because when I woke up and there's blue light in my room, and I'm looking around like, what the hell's going on from the window? And I realized that, like, I'm sitting up in my bed, but then I look back over my shoulder, my body's asleep. And my wife's asleep, and the dog is dead almost. Like, he can't move. Like, they're just in a comatose state. And I'm feeling myself being pulled to the window, and my legs are still stuck in my legs. Like, the only way I can say, if you believe you have a soul, and let's pretend it's like your body, but a soul, the leg part we're still in for whatever reason. They haven't unlocked yet. And I kept trying to grab my wife, and I can't grab, because it's my spirit. I can't grab her. and all I can think of is they're gonna get me. They're gonna do something. This is gonna be a horrific torture situation. And I remembered a Reddit thread about people being abducted and praying. So being a writer and an author, my imagination is extremely strong. I can create whole worlds, right? Like that's what writers do. So I've immediately filled my room up with archangels, and I pray to Michael and Jesus. And the second I start doing that, the light turns off. I'm back in my real body. I sit up in my real bed, and I'm like, did that just fucking happen? And it's like, 3 a.m. And I'm not going to go to bed now because ain't no damn way I'm going to bed tonight. And I just sat there all night like, what the hell just happened?
It's kind of funny that this fell when it did, because the episode right before yours, I had Karen Wilkinson on, and she's had very similar experiences, and even the whole thing about praying in order to get it to stop. And just something interesting that she'd brought up, she said that it doesn't necessarily work for everybody. And the reason behind that is she said you have to have like belief in your heart. So if you don't believe and you're just calling for something that you don't actually believe in, then nothing's going to come for you. But if you have the belief in it, even if you're on the other side of it, like if you're a Satanist and you call out to God for help, you still believe in that foundation that God exists. Yeah. So it still works even in those cases. But just kind of interesting that these episodes fell back to back.
So interesting. Now, my upbringing is Roman Catholic, so not that I would say I'm very religious anymore. I'm very spiritual, but I'm not really that religious. But so when I did that, the light stopped. I'm in my body. I'm like, what the hell, So I just stayed up all night because you can't sleep after that. That's going to come back, like whatever. Now, this happened after I did my past life regression, which is interesting. So my whole life, I had spiritual things happen, but I never had I only had a UFO once when I was 12, like physically see it. And then again at 30, whatever, 2 or whatever it was, 5, 4, whatever. So with the UFO stuff, it was always spiritual stuff.
Hold that thought. We'll be right back. And we are back. So let's hop right in.
So what's weird, what's interesting is that this happened after my past life regression that I did. And during my past life regression, I don't know if you've done it or not, but
actually funny that you brought that up. Since last time, I've actually done a past life regression, so I have had my own experience with this now.
So you've had your experience. So what's really, and I don't know if yours was like this, but in mine, it's taped, which is good because then if someone's planning ideas in your head, which you can watch it obviously, and that they aren't. But besides that, it was your conscious in your body. Like I knew where the dog was in the room. I heard the AC turning on. I heard the cars driving by. Like I knew what was going on in my room, in my home, in my outside my house. But I'm also having the experience of the past life too, visually in my mind. Like
that's what it was like for me too. I was like so aware of my body, but relaxed.
You're in 2 places at once. It's crazy. And my past life, when I did it, I met my main spirit guide that has been guiding me this whole life. So he's a very tall man with a white hood, golden eyes that glow, dark hair, and a dark beard. His name is Salim. That's who he is. So during that past life regression, he kind of walked me through them and helped me understand what is it that what was the point of this life, or what is the big lessons I learned in these lives. So, my whole life I've loved Japan, samurais, I've loved Egypt stuff, I've loved Greek, Roman. Like I'm really drawn to Vikings, Norse. I'm drawn to all these things. I mean, literally, I have the sigil, Pathfinder sigil on my arm. So my first life that I did, when I arrived at this scene of 3 doors, and I had to choose which door was calling me. One was a golden door with like glyphs etched into it. That was stunning. One was like a wooden door that looked burned. And then one was this white mausoleum granite, beautiful door. So I originally wanted to go through either the golden or the mausoleum door, but I chose the wooden one because it felt like I had to. So I go into that one, and that whole memory is a warrior samurai type person who he's in the woods, and his little village got attacked by an enemy. Everyone's getting killed, and his child is dead in the ground, and his wife is taken by the enemy. and I'm the guy who's trying to fight to save her, but also like I have to win because I have trained my whole life for the sword, right? Like you have to win. So in a moment of fighting, the guy's attention turned to the wife, and I let him slash her, and then I take the opportunity to kill him. So I win, but my wife is dead, and my kid is dead. And the whole point of that whole life is, for me, is in that life for that man, his job, his everything was his job, which was a warrior, a samurai. So, that's all he did, right? That's his value. Yeah, he had a wife and a kid, but number one was his job, his title, his honor of being a warrior. And then number two was family or whatever. And he was willing to allow that to fall apart to defeat his enemy, right? So he put his job above everything, kind of, is how I looked at that. And to me, I don't believe that. I believe my family is more important than anything. So it was a really good realization of, and I've always felt like that my whole life, of I'm not going to work to that level. I will not do that. I do 40 hours only. I will be super efficient. I'll get more done than anyone else in 40 hours. But you are not getting more than 40 hours out of me because I have kids. What it's not going to happen. So it was good. It was cool to experience that memory of that guy's life, because even though it's terrible and he let his wife and kid die for really a job, if you want to think of it like that, it was for me. I'm never going to do that in this life. And it makes sense because I've done it before. If you believe in past lives, you've done that before. So you're not going to do it again, right? Like you lived that once. So it was a really powerful lesson for me to realize, yeah, just you're right in what you're doing. Like live your life, follow your passion. If you have, do your job, but you don't have to sacrifice that to get ahead in this, family to get ahead at work or whatever. So that was really cool. And then the other part of that was, instead of using a sword, I'm supposed to use my writing to change things now. Kind of see, I got the right.
Got the quill on your arm?
Yeah. That was the other lesson in that was you don't need to fight with swords. You can fight with words now. That's the world that you're in. You can still be a warrior. You just got to be different. It's not about weapons and shit anymore. So that was really cool. And then, so the second life, or the other one, was Egypt. I was a slave getting hit with a whip, with a little tool, like sculpting a statue or something. I'd go home, had a wife and a kid, and I was literally a slave in the day, but at home I was happy, right? So even though your job sucks, you're still happy because you have a whole family at home. Like there was love. So during that life, the second kid's born and the wife dies during the childbirth. And when I did my past life, it kind of skips from important memories, right? So it goes from that to them like probably 40 or so or 50, and I'm older and my kids have kids. My wife's still dead, obviously, but I'm wealthy. I own land. I'm like an architect or something, like helped scale buildings or something. Like I helped do the plans for that, and I'm rich as shit. And my kids are there, and they're there. My grandkids are there, and I quote made it. I'm successful. My wife's not. And then the ending of that life was dying in bed, surrounded by kids, grandkids, great grandkids, nephews, like a whole family. And they're all seeing me die and saying goodbye. And then my wife comes at that point and says, it's time to come with, this one's over. And we made a promise the next time that we meet, we're doing it together the full time. Nobody's dying early. So that was really powerful, obviously, because if I believe in you can create whatever life you want, that you're a creator, you're a maker. If you can go from a slave to a freaking wealthy landowner in literally a life, you can do anything. Mm-hmm. And I always believed you could, but we all get wrapped in the day to day and the woe is me bullshit. But if I want to live that reality of you can create your life however you want with your choices, no matter what, if the deck is stacked against you or not, which I believe that you can, anybody can, that life verifies that, because you went from a slave to to having everything except for the love part. The wife was gone, unfortunately, on that one. So it's like I haven't got to have the full, you know what I mean?
full experience yet.
Yeah, it's like half of an experience or missing something. So those are really powerful ones, which are really cool. So then that ended, and do you want to do the third one? I'm like, no, I'm not ready. So ever since that experience with my spirit guide, I can tap in and communicate with him anytime I want, literally. I don't do it a lot. I do it when I need advice and stuff, but I can communicate. So that night after the abduction that almost happened, I reached out and asked, like, what the hell was that? Like, why did that happen? And the answer that I got was, and I'm going to try to say it verbatim how he said it, was they were in the area. They weren't here for you specifically. They saw a light in the darkness and wanted to see what it was, which is very fucking interesting if you really think about that.
Yeah, like you're like a beacon or something almost.
Like I guess in my mind, they're up in the air, they're flying around or whatever, and everyone's asleep. It's dark, it's nighttime, and there's a blinking fucking light in the house, and they're like, "Yo, what the fuck is that? We want to see what this is." That's how in my mind I envisioned. What is that? Well, let's just go see. Which again is terrifying because I didn't ask for this. I didn't give you permission. I didn't say I'm okay with that. You know what I mean?
I mean, I almost take that. It makes you wonder if it's like maybe a light physically in the room. I don't know. You were there, but I almost kind of took it as like you were yourself are a beacon, like you were shining or something, and they
it is
caught onto you yourself.
My soul is just so bright or whatever. Which now I have some ideas on it now after the third regression, the third door. I have a little bit more info now that I think I know what it was, but I think it's so bright that they were like, "Ooh, let's go see what this is." And that was their way to do that. They pull. Now I'm sure people are physically abducted because I've heard of that, but I've also heard of people being pulled through roofs. So if they're pulling your soul out, that makes sense that they're pulling you through a roof because they're pulling your spirit out and doing whatever they want. So, I don't know if that's what it is, but he said to me, that was exactly what he said. They were interested. You're bright. They wanted to see what it was. They weren't here specifically for you, but you caught their attention. And then before I even asked another question, he said, don't worry, they will never bother you, your family again. They were warned. That's what he said. So I guess they backed them off, or my spirit guide said, this ain't the guy, fucking move on somewhere else. And ever since then, I have not had a paranormal experience since that happened in 2020 or whenever it was, 21 or whatever. Which is really interesting because I've had them my whole life.
Dude, that's kind of weird to think about too, that like, what would the connection be between like, I mean, obviously everything seems to be on some type of like spiritual realm, but like when you're connecting the whole concept of like spirit guides and where you might be going when you're almost like tapping into the ether versus like these extraterrestrials that clearly have some type of spiritual or consciousness removing ability, but they're also physical. It's kind of, it makes you wonder where the connection is between the two,
So as I've mulled this over for years and learned and listened to podcasts like yours, and just really try it because I love knowledge. I'm obsessed with learning stuff. So I'm starting to come to a point in my mind that humans need to name things because that's how we structure our reality, right? We need names for stuff. But what if we keep having all these names? Alien, demon, fallen, Nephilim, angel, gray, draconian, whatever. All these names. We have all of these names. Gods, Zeus, creator, whatever. We have all of these names, and to us, they mean completely different things. But what if we just keep naming the same? I don't want to say the same thing, but like kind of like, what if they are all similar to each other and we have all these different names, and because of our religious and all this shit, we're putting all these other connotations into some of these beings. I don't know, but
I've said this a bunch of times, man.
Yeah,
it's just really, multiple perspectives of the same things happening, and they give them different names.
Exactly, they are something, and there's a reason that every time that you read an abduct or a UFO encounter story, paranormal stuff starts happening after that to the person. So they're connected.
And then all the Fae stuff sounds a lot like UFO abductions before UFO abductions were a thing.
That's what I'm saying. So all of these names, Fae, gods, lowercase g, whatever, all that stuff, like they could be the same level of being, I guess would be the word. I wouldn't say the same being. They could be different races of beings, or they could be the same type or level. I don't know. But we have all these damn names, and it puts these human expectations on some of this stuff. So to me, if my spirit guide says they were warned not to mess with you or your family again, and I haven't for 4 years had experiences that I would commonly have every few months, random stuff. I mean, just like literally 2 weeks ago, I had a few shadows out of corner of my eye happen, which I haven't had that since that either. Now, I'm not saying that there hasn't been stuff around, because I have had to stage my house a few times because mechanical things are breaking, the dryer, this, like people are being misunderstood a lot. I mean, I have a lot of parties and friends over and family, so people come over to my house a lot. These things come with people, right? Like we all know that, right? They hitch a ride, right? Type thing. So I'm not saying I haven't like thought there was stuff around, but I haven't personally seen a thing or anything in 4 years. So clearly that warning that Salim gave these things, or the archangels, or whatever you want to say, backed them off, because I haven't had anything, which is really interesting. In a way, it's very interesting because I don't know if they're connected, but something's happening. Because how are you going to tell me you warned them and it goes cold for me for 4 years straight? That's never happened.
I mean, honestly, unless they are on some type of plane, because theoretically, I mean, if humans can do past life regressions and extraterrestrials are, and some other advanced species, and they're not like getting into the whole biological drone theory, but if they're able to use telepathic abilities,
I like that theory too. But yeah, I get you.
But yeah, if they're able to use telepathic abilities, assumably they have some type of ability to access some of the same realms as we do. And it seems like there's these higher elevational beings, and maybe they're like, we talk about extraterrestrials being from like a higher vibration, higher elevation, but assumably like there's stuff higher than that. And maybe that's kind of where the rank comes in, is that it's almost like the higher dimension the being is, the more it can manipulate the reality underneath it. So it's a matter of like,
maybe that's what it is.
They can completely construct stuff and move stuff around.
We're here, they're here, spirit guides are here, and like maybe that's what that actually makes some sense. But it just shows you they're connected in some way, because I promise you, I've never had years where I haven't had an experience. And that's crazy. That's crazy. Because something changed for that to go dark like that. Now, I've maybe had not an experience. I mean, I've had so many that I'm not scared of them, so that don't even really freak me out anymore. But like, I've had so many, like, and it maybe will go dark for 6 months, a year at tops. 4 years straight, not one damn thing. That's interesting. That's very, very interesting. Now, why did I start seeing a shadow thing or something on the corner of my eye 2, 3, 4 weeks ago, like recently? I think we're on a different timeline now. I think we're on a different path, humanity as a whole. And now,
or it's a matter of these things are starting to just be around for everybody to access. Like they're starting to come more into our reality. Yeah. So it's like,
what I'm saying. There's a shift somewhere. Something, the whole Great Awakening thing. Something happened, like Earthwise, like worldwide, not like me, but like everybody. And I think you're right. I think our reality has took a step further into that realm somehow, or whatever, because it does seem different to me. I've a lot of things seem different now than it was a few years ago. But it was interesting that I was like, oh shit, I just saw something. Like, whoa, I forgot what that was like. It's been 4 years, it's crazy. It's interesting. Now, I don't think it was bad. I didn't get a sense of that, but I still haven't seen anything.
We will be right back after this brief commercial break, so stay tuned. And we are back, so let's hop right in.
Now, the past life that I did recently. So this one was so not what I was expecting. It took me days to really like wrap my head around it. because I would have placed a bet and money that that third door would have been Greek or Roman. I thought it was going to be that. And boy, was I fucking wrong on that. Oh my gosh. It was, and I should stop saying past life because apparently it's a future life.
I had a feeling because I've heard of a few people having these experiences, and like the way that you weren't ready for that last one, I had a weird feeling.
Yeah, so it's the future life, and it's the one after this one, which is interesting.
Well, future in our timeline, but if time isn't necessarily linear, then that whole concept makes a little bit more sense.
Yes, yeah, I agree. So I will just say after this life is the way that I in my brain think of it, is after this specific life. Now, last time I was on your thing, I joked and I always said, but I have felt like this my whole life, that I'm not doing Earth anymore. I'm done. Once I started like thinking that past lives were probably real, not before I even did the regressions, I always felt that they were probably accurate. That it's not what Catholicism says, it's one life and you're done. I don't believe that. I think you're here a bunch of different times, bunch of different lessons. You level up your soul and you just go through the grind of doing all that stuff. And I've always felt like, I felt like that a long time, but I've always felt, oh no, something there.
No, you're good.
Okay. I always felt that there was that I would say I'm not doing Earth again. I'm done. This is the last time. I'm not interested. This place kind of sucks. I'm over it, and I'm not doing it anymore. Like I would always say that as a joke, but not really, because I'm like, I'm done. Send me somewhere else. I'll go to another planet. I don't care. I'm done with this place. And when I did this next life thing, I was like, okay, this makes sense. Why I always thought this way. Why I felt like that. So I do the regression, the whole, close your eyes thing, whatever. I meet Salim again, and we're right back at the door. It's sitting there, and he's like, "Are you ready?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm ready to do this." He's like, "Great, let's go." So I open the door, and I'm on a beach, and it's nice out, whatever, sunny, windy, and I look up, and there's a fucking giant planet in the sky with a ring around it. Obviously, it's not Earth. We're not on Earth no more. And I'm like, oh shit, like this is not Earth, So like I'm walking and I, walking over some dune stuff, and then I come to like where the ocean is, and there's a bunch of people in like robes and stuff, like hooded robes, and they're walking onto like this floating platform, like a sidewalk, like a fancy sidewalk that just goes into the ocean, like above the water to the horizon. Like they're all walking down this pathway, and out there you could see there's like a big structure, like a temple or something that you could see. So I have to walk it, so me and Salim start walking the thing. We're walking towards this temple thing. It looks like kind of like a Greek temple, but it's like in the water. So we're walking, and I'm looking at the people around me that are walking towards it, and I start noticing they're very tall. They're fair skinned. Some of them, they have long white hair and shit. Like they look like
Nordics,
elves, like Nordics, like elves, like high elves, like fucking Nordics. And their eyes are glowing and shit. And I'm like, what the fuck? So we're walking, and we finally get to this temple. This platform, this big platform, and everyone's standing around in like a big circle. And in the middle is this like, what is it? So it's like an archway, right? And there's like this glowing blue like energy, like a portal, I guess. And we're all staying there, and we're waiting for whoever is coming out of the portal. So a few minutes go by, and a man steps out, and he's got the hood off, and he looks like an elf. I mean, they look like elves, like. I don't know if they're white skin, glowing eyes, long white blonde hair, robes, elegant as fuck looking. Which, by the way, every time I play a fantasy game, I play an elf. In every game I ever play, I pick an elf. Sorry, it is what it is. I always did it. I love it. It is what it is.
Dude, talk about a weird connection with past lives. My regression that I did, I ended up having like a Viking life, and I've always been drawn to the Viking stuff. And every time I play a game like Skyrim, any of that, I always pick a Viking-like character.
I will tell you this. I think I did have a Viking life because I played the last Assassin's Creed Ragnarok, which is the Viking one.
I've been wanting to play that. I haven't had a chance yet.
So there was this, and the game's amazing, but there was this part where I was standing on this hill and looking down at like this ravine and ocean and water, and I almost started crying. And I was like, what the fuck? There was nothing in the game happening. It was like I've seen that before. It freaked me out. It was really cool. You need to play that. You probably will get a kick out of that.
Oh, yeah,
There's
I'm
something
sure.
that, yeah, play that game. There's something that you're gonna be like, it's really gonna click with you in that. But yeah, anyway, side note. So this guy comes out and he's like, I guess a leader or noble or something, because people start clapping and all this stuff. And I'm, clapping because everyone else is clapping. And he looks at me and walks up and says, "Brother, it's been a long time," and hugs me. And I'm like, I hug him back. And then I start crying in the, me, right? I start crying. And he goes, "That took a lot longer than you thought, didn't it?" And I said, "Yeah, I didn't think I'd get stuck there that long." Right. And then he goes, "Well, you're home now. Welcome back. This is for you." And everyone's was there for me. It was a welcome home party. And I didn't even realize it for me. So I'm like, holy shit, right? So this is like really interesting. So it's like a bonfire, everyone's having fun and talking and stuff. And he's like, he looks at me and he's like, "You got stuck there for a long time." And I'm like, "I know. I didn't think it would be that long." And he just goes, "Well, you finished. The mission is successful. Enjoy your last life you have there now." This is what he says to me. So I start crying again because, it hits me in a way.
Yeah.
So then, and it's weird because the way these things go, at least for me when I do it, is it's like a dream where it jumps to a different scene or whatever. So then we jump from this time to I guess the past. So it's like showing me what is he talking about, I guess. You know what I mean? Like,
Past it within that life.
within that, yeah, that version. The Pleiades version of me, I guess. I don't know. So now we're back in the past. So in the past, there's like a big room. We're in a building. That guy's there. And there's me and a bunch of people, a bunch of other people in there. And there's a table in the middle, and it's glowing like a hologram almost of Earth, right? You see it. And that guy is saying, "We need to go to Earth and help the humans." And he's like, "If we do not go there, they've been pushed onto a dark path. And if we don't go help them, pull them out of this, Earth is going to become what it was never supposed to be." And everyone's just standing there. Nobody's raising their hands. No one's talking because nobody wants to do this, is how I feel. They don't want to go there.
But they always talk about the whole, like, it's a very important time that all these souls are here that you hear all over the place now. So it's kind of weird that...
Yeah, it's fucking weird. So then he goes, "If I'm going to show you what's going to happen if we don't go down there and help them." So then the map thing like glows. And then now all of us in the room, we're on Earth now. And it looks like fucking hellscape. The sky is black, cloudy, reddish, like just scary looking. There's like a town that's all fucking burned and destroyed. And I look over and there's a woman with like wearing like tattered ass Mad Max clothes, like fucked up looking and totally malnourished, like face sunken in, eyes bulging, skinny as like you could think of. And she's reaching for us like, "Please, I need food, please. There's nothing left to eat. Everything is dead." And we're like I'm standing looking at her, and then you hear these like roaring, crazy sound, monster noise thing, like just like crazy sounds, like monster sounds, I guess. And that guy is standing with us, and he goes, "These things have destroyed everything on this planet. There's no life left. There's no food left. And now they're coming for the last bit of people that are still alive. And if we don't come here and help them get to the different timeline, or I don't know, whatever you want to say, a better future, this is what's going to happen here. And we cannot let this was never supposed to happen. They've been taken over by darkness, and they're being pushed down this branch of what could happen." So now we're back in the room, and I raise my hand, and then other people raise a lot of people raise their hands like, "We'll go." And
Did you ever get a context of what the thing was coming off in the distance?
Fucking no, sound like a demon. Sound like a fucking monster.
Because I was almost kind of curious if it was some type of like machinery potentially, since they said no life was
like
left.
A monster, but I felt the beast, animal, crazy, not a regular thing. Like, like hell opened up, that kind of shit is what it sounded like, and what it felt like. So then we're back in the room, and he's like, all right, well, you're all gonna go, and we're gonna help them. So then the last bit of that memory was me back at the fire with them after everything. And he's like, we did it. They're better. They're on the right path now. Please stop worrying that everything's going to fall apart. It's not. It's all good. Live your life. Enjoy it. Because after that, when you're done and you're coming home. And then I came out of the fucking thing. It's fucking crazy.
So then that would be your current life that you're living now.
So that's this one that I'm in right now. And I've always felt like, everyone watching the fucking world stage and everything going on, it looks really fucking bad. It's looked bad for a long time.
But it almost looks like it's a joke at the same time, because you hear like even all the political stuff, like it's just so
it's like
crazy.
Is this real? Is this real? And that's the point, is that it's the good guys won. Like, full stop, we win. Humanity set free to have the future we were always supposed to have. And what I felt was that we've not just been controlled for a few decades. It's been a long fucking time. We've been under the thumb of whatever that shit is for a long time. And we kind of got manipulated, I think, and put on a darker, path to that shit, whatever was going to happen here. And now we've been kicked off of it because apparently, I guess, a lot of people woke up. If you believe in the vibration thing, we've righted where we were at, which is interesting. He said the darkness has been cleared, is what it said. So I guess I think it looks crazy right now, but I don't think it's maybe not real. I don't know. Maybe it looks crazy to wake up the last people. I don't know. But
or it's a matter of all the evil trying to just pull every single stop they possibly can out because they know they're losing the battle. So it just looks crazy, but none of it's working.
Looks great. That's what so I've always felt like, even before this last one I felt like, and I don't know if anyone's going to understand this, but I felt like the bad people that are pushing the bad timeline are working with something else that's like not a human. Like, I don't know, whatever you want to say that is, the darkest energy of the darkest energy, whatever. And I felt like there was a plan, and I almost feel like, as just a hilarious thought, these people were given 100-step plan to get to whatever that future is going to be. And I feel like around step 40 or 50 or something, we woke up and we fucking righted the ship.
Or they tried to speed up the process, and then it all crumbled after that.
So I feel like, so by the way, after these past life regressions, my intuition is very strong. Like, it's weird. I've always listened to it anyway, but it's like, I don't even question it now. If I get a feeling of something, that's it. It's what it is.
You, me too. I'm the same way, to be honest with you.
Like, I don't question it. So the intuition of it hit me and set in my mind was like, they were giving a plan, a step-by-step plan to get to whatever, the whole, oh, you'll rule over the rest of your kind, but you'll serve us, that kind of shit. You know what I mean? Whatever that is. You can say darkness, whatever. And I feel like they were given a plan, and they were told, do the plan step by step. We'll make sure it works behind the scenes. And they started doing it. And I feel like humanity kind of woke up. A lot of people woke up, and that's not good, because I think they needed us to sleep, number one. And I think whatever that level of darkness is above the humans, whatever that is, I feel like it was cleared off the board from behind the scenes. And the humans that are left that were working with that only have this plan they have to follow. They don't have their backing anymore. So they're following the plan, but it's falling apart. If you pay attention, everything that they're doing like that, it falls apart. It doesn't work. If you're paying attention, it doesn't work. They try something, it falls apart. They try the next thing, it crashes. They try and it's like everything they're trying is waking up more and more people. So it's kind of funny because I think you're right. I think they're speed running the plan because time's running out. And as they're speed running the plan, the next step just wakes up more people to like, what the fuck is really happening here? And it just keeps waking up more and more people. And it's like they're speed running their own demise. And I think that as like a whole, like a worldwide whole, I think that we are in the death throes of the dark ones, if you want to say it that way. I think we really are. I think that's why it's so just like, what the hell is going on? This is like, doesn't even make it. Like, it's not even logic. Like, it doesn't even make sense. And it's like a thrashing animal. You know, they always say the animal thrashes the hardest before it dies. I think we're in that stage right now, which means the next stage after this is what we always wanted, right? Like, whatever that is.
See, that kind of makes you wonder, too, if the plan would have worked, if the last couple of years, not getting too much detail into it, because I know everybody's just talked it out.
No, I know.
But it kind of makes you wonder if, like, the whole Mark of the Beast would have became something through getting the jabs and stuff like that if the plan fell right.
I absolutely believe that was what would have happened. I think that too many people woke up and started poking holes in narratives and questioning, and it started waking up more people. And I really feel like behind the scenes, the light power, whatever you want to call it, I almost feel like free will was weaponized against us. And I feel like these things, the bad ones, they were able to loophole something somehow in a way. And I think that's what happened. And I don't know if they overstepped their bounds, but I feel like there was something that's happened that allowed the interference thing to be waived. Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah, it makes sense.
I feel like there was like a non-interference thing, like, hey, you gotta let free will play out the way it's supposed to. And I feel like these things or these people or whoever they work with or whatever found a loophole somehow just to kind of like guide us in a bad way from like power seats of power and just fuck the whole thing up. And I don't know if they overstepped and broke a rule or something, and then it was like, well, you guys broke this rule, so now we can get involved, and they just wiped them off the fucking board. I really feel like that.
Or they're just hiding in the shadows, and they're waiting for their next attempt, which may be farther on timeline, but
I don't think, I have this weird feeling that if you're going to, just say like this, right? Let's say the bad humans that are these elites, whatever, they're doing their thing and they're taking their orders or whatever. And these things behind them were like batteries, like fueling them, like, hey, we're manipulating markets, we're doing all this stuff. And then they got wiped away. And they're like, well, we still have our plan. We're going to follow our plan. And it's like, okay, well, you can follow the plan, but it's not going to work now. You don't have the backing of whatever the hell that was back there anymore. And that's why I think it's just falling apart. I think there was some kind of overstepping somewhere. I don't know. Or maybe it was literally humanity, just too many of us woke up and there's like a frequency to that. And it was like, okay, they reached a level we can get involved. Maybe it was that. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But it's something, because if you pay attention, it's different now. It's not like it was 4 years ago.
Hold that thought. We'll be right back. And we are back, so let's hop right in. I mean, like you were kind of saying, it could be a matter of potentially breaking rules, and then that's when things are able to step in. Because if you get into the whole timeline concept with things, everybody talks about CERN, of course, being used to possibly alter timelines. And then they talk about any hydrogen particle collider, like potentially manipulating timelines. So, I mean, if that could have theoretically been a technology that came from whatever this dark force was, then that could have been like their way that they broke the rules, so then the rule breaks back the other way. Because if there's a set timeline that's supposed to happen and you're trying to do everything to push it off of that timeline, I mean, it could also be a matter of the timeline's already written, so you can try to create sub-timelines, but the main timeline is still going to exist where it needs to go. It's just they're creating split timelines.
You can see it. I mean, it's not working. Now, is it scary? Sure, because we don't like unknowns, right? Humanity does not like unknowns. But at the end of the day, no one can sit here and say that. I mean, I don't know. I guess if you watch mainstream media, I guess you can say the world is falling apart. I don't know. The whole thing always seemed weird to me because I'm like, my life is fine, but like the world's burning on TV, but like my personal life is okay.
See,
And
I think
it always
everybody
was,
questions that now because not to get too
yeah.
political, but during the whole like Trump assassination, no matter what side
Oh,
you're on,
dude.
everybody was completely questioning it. Like this didn't
Like,
happen
hey,
as they're telling us that it happened, and
like,
both
hey,
sides know that.
you can't just do that. Like they went for it, man. Which to me, it just shows if you're willing, like the way that I saw that whole thing, and maybe I'm off, I don't know, but the way I saw how that played out, it felt like JFK Part 2.
That's what I was thinking too.
And to me, if you know about the JFK thing, probably multiple shooters, a patsy, shit was set up weird.
Promises of releasing secrets coming from the person they were going after.
Him making a comment, I'm going to smash the CIA to a million pieces, and 9 days later he's dead, executed on live television. Like,
and ironically, they also had somebody that was taking pictures that actually caught the bullet because they're taking the picture so slow. So again, were they trying to do another JFK thing? Because they definitely caught that shot.
Well, to me, the way that I saw this was you have tried everything legal, illegal that you could do to stop this dude. And there's clearly a reason, right? And the reason is, to me, you're all really fucking scared for him to get power. Does he have shit on y'all? Is that what this is about? Because if you're going to go so far to execute him on live TV, I mean, there's already a million questions. How did this happen? Why the hell was all the left-wing media covering that one rally? They don't cover his rallies like that.
How many people saw this kid acting weird too, and nobody did anything about it?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a million things, but the way that I saw that is, we're going to shoot this dude and kill him like we did to JFK. Maybe JFK was the last non-controlled president. I don't know. Maybe he was. This guy was obviously not controlled. That's why they destroyed his life. And now, like, we're going to kill him because we got to kill him. So they go to do it. And they don't try to sneak and cut his brake line or have a plane crash. They wanted to blow his head off on live television to send a message.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that's your hope, right? That's your dude. We just killed him. We can do it to you too. That's how that was.
And the Illuminati card that played out with his face on it says it doesn't matter where you are, snipers will get you. And it had this face. It looked just like Donald Trump's face, which plays in with all the 90s Illuminati cards.
Well, and that's my thing, is that it was a message that, hey, and, if you really want to go down the rabbit hole on it, if they were willing to kill him and possibly spark an uprising, because it could have, we don't really know what would have happened if he actually got killed. Who knows? People could have said, that's it, I'm done. They could have started going out with their weapons. You don't, like, that could have been the fucking, the fire stick. That could have been the match right there. And they're willing to chance that, to kill that guy. Think about that for a second.
The irony of trying to kill somebody to get rid of a problem and instead creating a martyr.
Oh, you could have, you would have, because, and then the whole thing of, well, I just looked left to look at this screen that's insane. Like, I don't even know what odds that would be. I really don't know. Like, I just looked this way and it hit here. Like, what the fuck? Like, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Dude, even on the other side, they were talking about, like, they talked to a bunch of different snipers. A bunch of snipers are saying, like, nobody could have theoretically made that shot that perfectly that anybody would have been willing to take the chance of, yeah, I can just shoot his ear, no problem.
Oh, no, there's no way.
Like, so it wasn't even planned even on the other side. Like, Donald Trump was trying to promote his own.
Oh, yeah.
Because nobody would have been willing to make that shot. Like,
no one would be willing to take that chance.
Nobody's that accurate.
Yeah, no, that's... So the whole thing... So... Again, I'm not trying to get political, but if you pay attention, it's not that hard to see. If they're willing to go so far to do that, obviously there's a reason, right? Like, so you all are the bad ones, right? That's why you're doing this. I mean, that's what other reason could there be that you'd be willing to do that? It's not. There's no other reason. Logically, there's no other reason.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
Like, there's no reason other than, oh shit, he's gonna expose everything. We got to get him out. We tried the lawsuits. We tried getting him arrested. We tried this. We tried that. This is the last step that we have is murder. And if we're going to do it, we might as well send a message to all the people and say, don't ever get out of line.
I mean, even if there would have been some type of an uprising, I think it was a matter, again, of like releasing secrets, because JFK was talking about releasing supposedly a bunch of like the extraterrestrial contact stuff. I know it kind of gets conspiratorial, but then Donald Trump on this side was talking about releasing FBI documents. One of the things he, I think, was talking about releasing, at least during his last presidency, was the JFK assassination paperwork.
No, he already said, no, I'm releasing it. I'm done.
Yeah, so again, it's like, it's a matter of whoever wants to release information. It doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum you're on.
100%,
if you're claiming you're going to release information, they're going to come after you because they would rather have those things stay a secret and deal with an uprising than anything else.
But think about this, which then asks the question, what is in that information that you are so willing to keep secret? Oh, you killed him? That's the only other thing that it could be.
But there were supposedly also some possible links to like the Majestic 6? Majestic something. The people that were supposed to be the ones that were hiding all of the crash information, the ones that were controlling all of like the contact information. And JFK supposedly had a meeting where they basically filled him in on some of his stuff, and he supposedly said that the American people need to know about this. And as soon as he started talking about how he's going to let the American people know about this, that was when all that stuff went down.
That was it. So I'm
kicking myself. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's Majestic 12, but I'm going to kick myself for this 12. Later because it's in the back of my mind. Yeah.
You'll wake up tonight and be like, damn it. But so this is my thing, right? So getting this message of nothing's going to stop. They're not going to win. Bottom line, darkness, whatever you want to say it is not going to win. Relax, live your life, enjoy your family, have that life that you always wanted to have in this life, because this is the last time you're doing it here, which is resonated with me again, because I've always said I'm not fucking doing Earth again. It's over. I'm over this shit. So it's funny, but it's all accurate because it lines up with that stuff. And it was very interesting. So yeah, I guess I'm one of the Palladian Starseed people who came to try to help. Apparently I did. Got stuck here. I don't know if I got stuck or maybe it just took too long.
So I'm kind of curious, would there have been a life that you lived within that one, or is the life that you lived within that one this one that you're living now, and there's still that last life for you to enjoy afterwards? You see what I'm saying with the context here? Because there should be another life within there, because if you came to this current time and the one past life was the samurai one, the second one was Egypt, and then the next one was in the future, that would mean that there's two lives that are theoretically in the past. There could be your current one that's that one, and then another one.
20 or 30. Like, I've only done it a couple times. I'm sure I've been here like more than 5. I'm sure it's been a lot of times. I'm sure it's just over and over and over and over.
So that makes you curious, though, if this is that life that you're supposed to do something, or if this is your fun life. Like, either way, it kind of makes you wonder which way it's going.
I know, right? So,
because even if you're coming on podcasts and just talking about this kind of stuff, this could be a mass thing that all of us are doing to elevate the vibration together, and maybe all of us are connected more than we realize. And this is exactly what we're supposed to be doing, is getting out information, having these conversations, and getting philosophy back to the human race, you know?
Yeah, but here's the thing, bro. I'm doing that. I'm writing books. I have the best wife and kids ever. This is the fucking life, bro. Like, I realized it now at 30, whatever. I'm like, I'm living that.
Two birds, one stone, though. You could be elevating and living the best life at the same time.
That's what I think is what's going on. I'm living that now by doing these talks and writing. And they said my writing was always, that can help people. That'll put a little seed in them. They might think differently. It might spark an awakening. Just write your stuff. Write what you want. I'm writing books, comics, hero stuff. I mean, I got all these different stuff going on. And I have a great job. Money's good. House is nice. Wife's great, amazing. And that's the wife from all the other memories. It's her. Like, I got that confirmation. It was her in these different ones too. So it's the right, we're in this life together. That's why I know we're going to live to old age in this one, whatever that is. I don't know. Hopefully that secret tech comes out and we live like 300 years. Oh no, it'd be pretty cool.
That would be nice.
Yeah, it'd be pretty cool. But I feel like this is the life because it's going amazing. Now, it wasn't always great, but the past 6 years have been the best I've ever had. The best life I've ever had.
Well, I mean, with struggling produces growth, though. So if you want to live your best life, you still have to learn things within that life. So you're going to have to go through hardships to become stronger in the end,
Well, and that's why, the Egypt life really means a lot to me, because it just shows you, like, that dude was literally getting beat at work. Think about that. Beat at work, goes home happy, and is able to crawl out of all of that, even his wife dying, his love dying, and create a great life for his family, right? That's solid, man. That's impressive shit. And if that bro could do it, I could fucking do it. I ain't getting whipped. It's fine. Like, I ain't getting beat up, like, do it. Like, what are you doing? It's not that hard, When you look at it, it's not that hard. Like, it's not the same. The world is more free and easier and safer than it's ever been.
Financially harder, but physically easier.
It's safer, at the bottom. It's the safest time it's ever been in human history. Yeah, it doesn't seem like that, but it is true. I mean, it ain't barbarians at your door at any given moment going to raid your village, kill all the men, take all the women,
Unless you're in a third world country, then it's a little bit different, because they still got that kind of stuff going on in some places.
That is true. In some places, that's true. But for me specifically, I'm not in that anymore. So I can live the life I wanted to live. That's what's so weird about Earth, because like you just said, you have people living like that. You have groups of people in the Amazon never even seen a plane, which it's hard to like wrap your head around that.
They speak a language that nobody is aware of. Like, that's even crazier to think about.
Like, they saw a plane and started worshiping it and shit, like that one tribe. Like, it's fucking crazy to think that right now in 24, there is a group of several people who don't know that this even exists. Think about that.
Dude, there's a couple islands that I know of for sure that, like, a few different people try to go there for missionary work, and they can't even get on the islands because you'll get killed. Yeah. So it's like those ones, even specifically, it's like nobody knows their language. Nobody even knows anything about them. They just see them from the shore as they throw stuff at them. Like,
yeah. And then, so it's interesting, right? Because that's happening. We have this, and then there's people in war-torn areas going through craziness, and then there's people who are millionaires, and then there's people who, like, it's so crazy. If you want proof that you can make a life of whatever you want, just look at the freaking world. There's so many completely different realities going on. It's really interesting if you really look at that, and yeah, if you're in a bad place, that if you're born there, hopefully you can get out of it and stuff. But like, it's so different. It's so crazy. Like, how can anyone look at ancient history and say, well, there could have been an advanced race of Atlanteans and people throwing rocks? Like, we have that now.
That's all I was going to say. Like,
we have that right now. Like, how could that not have been a thing then?
And it could be a matter of something that's almost like happening now, where the more primitive ones are the ones that are continuously repopulating, and the ones that are super intelligent are aware of the fact of like, I won't be able to do this, I won't be able to do that. So it's like the super intelligent ones don't always reproduce, but the more primitive ones are the ones that are reproducing. So think about how many times it's going to happen in history where like the smart ones just kind of got weeded out because they were like, all right, well, we have to try to produce this and this and this, and they just got intelligent about reproducing, and the other ones are just overproduced
doing their thing. Yeah.
Yep.
No, it's really, but I will say after this one, I was like, I felt a weight, because it always felt like fighting a losing battle. Like, if you're watching the world stage and everything, you're like, this shit ain't getting better, bro. It's getting worse. It's getting worse. It's getting worse. And then at some point, it kind of like, I started feeling like the crazy narratives and stuff, yeah, they're there, but people don't take it serious. It's not really that they're normal people that are buying this. And then you realize like a lot of these comments are bots. They're not even real. And then you're like, wait a minute, like, how much of this is actually people that are commenting this craziness or, hateful shit, being mean. And you're like, well, if it's bots, then what is the real percentage of people who actually act like this to other people online and stuff? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a matter of controlling a narrative, man. Like, they're even talking about the Mandela effect thing recently on, I think it was Joe Rogan or something like that, where he was talking about how somebody did a bunch of research and everything and actually proved that the cornucopia actually existed on the Fruit of the Loom logo, and it was supposed to be a government experiment to see what they could theoretically erase. Like,
oh yeah,
I mean, they're obviously doing research on how to control narratives, controlling the past, on top of the fact that they're controlling everything that you take in from TV nowadays, where it's just like, if you step into the real world, you realize that shit, again, ain't actually this crazy. But once you start really watching multiple news channels, you can tell that it's not, doesn't matter if it's a left-wing, right-wing station, like they're all pushing the same narratives to the point where like sometimes they'll read news stories line for line. Like it's crazy once you actually start noticing this stuff.
I've seen the video where it's the compilation of like 100 news anchors saying the exact same words, and you're just like, this is a fucking propaganda. This is propaganda.
Who is the one controlling all of that, though? That's the crazy thing to think about, is if you get that with international news, like if people don't want to believe in a controlling force, like what would have the reach and the power to control news stations across the entire planet and all of them be reading the same one? Phrases,
like word for the headlines, is that it's really fucking interesting. But I don't think that, I think that the game is up and it's just a matter of time. I don't even think a year from now. I think soon it's not going to be as crazy. I just think it's just not, I think it had its chance and it failed, I guess would be the word I would say. And that's what they kind of said. They said, hey, mission successful. You're good. Go live your life. Like, enjoy it now. Stop worrying. It's not going to get better. It's going to get better from here on out.
We will be right back after this brief commercial break, so stay tuned. Hey guys, I know nobody really wants to listen to ad breaks on podcasts, so instead of actually listening to those, why don't you go and check out some of the sponsors and affiliate links for the show instead. Number one, you guys can go and check out IKNOWSQUATCH for all of your squatchy gear needs, or you guys can check out Cryptoteeology for all of your wearable cryptid favorites, or you guys can check out Snarly Yow for a fantastic natural line of beard oil, beard balm, beard shampoo, and body wash, all with an enticing woodsy aroma of smoky cedar with a hint of mint. And he also puts on a lot of fantastic events around the West Virginia area. So if you guys are in that area, make sure you guys go and check it out and see what kind of events he's putting on, because he definitely brings in an awesome group of people. And you guys can go and check out Big Ape Threads for all of their Bigfoot and cryptid-related designs. And going into the affiliate links, you guys can always go and check out the newest sponsor to the show, Oregon-ite, specializing in scale model pyramid replicas, EMF protection devices, and much more. And if you guys find any pieces that you guys want to scoop for yourself, you guys can use code OMM for 10% off at checkout. And to all the paranormal investigators out there, you guys can go and check out the Chattergeist. It is the all-in-one paranormal investigating device. My absolute favorite. I use it every single time I go out. And if you guys have any technical questions about it, you guys can always go and hit up Barry over there in Dimension Devices on Instagram. He's the guy that programmed and developed it, so he'll be able to answer any of your guys' technical questions for it. And if you use the affiliate link, you guys will receive 10% off at checkout. And just a heads up, the company is based in the UK, so when you check it out on the website, it will be in pounds. But when you guys use PayPal, it will convert over. So don't think that you guys can't scoop one just because you don't live in the UK. And don't forget to check out the affiliate link for Sticker Mule to receive a $10 credit towards your first purchase. Over there, you can get a bunch of stickers printed, t-shirts, posters, all that kind of stuff. So if you guys are another podcast and you guys are looking for good quality stuff in order to print your logos on, Sticker Mule is definitely the place for you. And more information on all of those, of course, is available down in the show description. Let's quickly run through some commercials and get back into the show. And we are back, so let's hop right in. Talking about everybody waking up, I mean, even if they tried to push another big illness that came our way, like even everybody that was pro it before, it's like they got one or two jabs and then they were like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. So if the next round tries to roll out, good luck, even with the people that you had in the beginning.
If you watched, right, they kept trying to bring COVID up over and over for 3 years straight.
They're still doing it now.
Yeah, they bring it up, but it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, shut up, we're done with this. So it's just like one of those things that just shows you, like, that we as a society, well, two things. One, they never realized what the internet was going to become, obviously, because it would have never been able to get out like this if they did.
Using their own technology against them for everybody to communicate on the other side.
It grew to the point where they couldn't control it, and they were just like, oh, fuck, we shouldn't have let them have that. When they had that thought, it was too late. It was already too late.
As soon as people could start connecting internationally, it's really hard to control narratives at that point.
And then it became, we got to run these stories and fact checking, and which is all nonsense anyway. So
now they just try to flood it and hope that you can't pick out the real information.
right. Yeah, now there's just a bunch of stuff. But that's what's so funny is it's like they caught on too late, like which is thank God, because really the internet is really what kind of like broke the spell for like a lot of this stuff for people, right? So that's good. But I think the other part of it is just that I just think that we were always going to be the Great Awakening thing was always going to happen. That you couldn't stop it. Maybe you could have. I don't know. Because if they would have pulled this shit in the 80s, there's only TV. Like, they could have done it because there wasn't internet. Like, they could have really done it.
I mean, people were believing more stuff word of mouth, where nowadays it's like even if your friend tells you a fact, most people just look it up on Google and read the first answer. But people like us, for example, somebody will tell us a fact and we'll look it up on multiple pages to like confirm the information, you know?
Well, you have
where in the past it was like, I heard that this person did this, and people were just word of mouth. I heard it on the news, and then it gets pushed and everybody just believes it because they can't double check back into it.
If they would have done this takeover thing like to that level, I mean, I'm sure they took over, but not to this level. To this level of what they're trying to do now in the 80s, they would have succeeded. But maybe it was just more behind the scenes then. I don't know.
I mean, they may have made an attempt, though, because you had the satanic panic that was happening back then. I mean, that could have been part of an attempt, too, and it just didn't take off either.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe I mean, maybe they've been trying. Maybe that's what it is. They keep trying and failing and trying and failing and trying and failing. And now this is the last attempt. This was the Hail Mary play. We got to do it. Maybe there's a year on it. Maybe it's 25. If you don't complete it by then, you fucking lost. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. There's something, because you could tell they're ramping it up, and it's just all over the place. I mean, it's crazy town.
I mean, it makes you wonder if it could potentially be one of those things that it's like, obviously the light is always going to outshine the dark, but the dark's still going to exist in the fine corners. But if that bright light starts dimming out, then that darkness starts trying to come back in. It makes you wonder if it's something that's happened like that with humans since the dawn of time, that we go through these great enlightenment points, but then it starts to dim out a little bit, and then that's when the darkness tries to come back, and then it's a matter of that light always ends up outshining the darkness. It's just sometimes the darkness has to come into the light because, again, like we were talking about a little bit ago, you have to have struggle in order to have growth. So it's almost needed for human evolution so that it doesn't become stagnant.
That's true. And I wonder about what's next, right?
Hopefully a great enlightenment period. I mean, hopefully it'll last a couple thousand years or something, you know?
If you believe that they have all this tech that they've been hiding, you know, maybe that is true. I don't know.
I want a future like Star Trek. I just want to be able to chart the planets and have everybody at peace, and, you know, and of course there's going to be the primal off species and stuff, but for the most part, like the galaxy itself, the different dimensions, everybody just cohabitates and gets along.
Well, it's weird. I feel like weirdly we might get it in this life. I don't know. What if this life ends up being like hundreds of years old?
Dude,
that's what it is.
I was making some point to somebody the other day that they said their grandparents were 96 now. And if that's the generation that was born 96 years ago, imagine where our life expectancy might be. Because it's like, if you're, again, I remember when I was a kid, it was like 70, 75 was like the life expectancy. 70, and now you see most of the elderly people that are around now living to be like 90 something in their 90s. 80s, so if that's that 90 years ago generation, it makes you, again, wonder where we could advance to.
No, well,
and hopefully the quality of life is good, but potentially 110 maybe, like maybe 120 isn't unheard of.
They say that whole thing is that humans probably could live longer, but we're poisoned constantly. All the time. Because
it's a matter of dying cells. If you're able to rejuvenate cells, it's a matter of being able to be okay for as long as you theoretically are able to rejuvenate cells. That's how immortal jellyfish works, you know?
Bro, that they talk that there's, you know, tech that will be able to do that. I don't know. Maybe it's there and they just have it and they're just, or maybe, I don't know.
But that's a whole industry too, though. They can't just give out stuff like that, because if there are still the controlling powers that are grasping for that power still, one of the main means that they make their money through is creating treatments, not cures. If they had an end-all cure to everything, then they're not making money, because I'm one of the people that's in the camp of thinking they've had a cure for cancer for years, but you can't make 100%. Money off of a cure. You make money off of treatments. So they hide these things that are going to greatly advance the human race, and only particular people have the ability to be able to use some of these things. But it's a matter of, again, just controlling powers, being that materialistic being, and only wanting wealth.
Well, you got to think about it. If that Great Awakening thing is real, which I obviously it's pretty real, in my opinion, that kind of shit will not be around anymore. That kind of thinking, that greed shit, all that. I mean, you got to think if that's fueled by darker emotions or beings or whatever you want to say that is, and that stuff is phased out.
It might be a generational thing. Once the generation that's in charge of those secrets now dies out, and like our generation's the ones in charge of those secrets. You know, we've been prepped for this kind of stuff our entire life, you know, like it's not going to blow somebody's mind to hear about something that's able to correct any illness, you know, but like you might break somebody's mind now with that, but.
And you know, what's interesting is like, I say to my dad all the time, because we always talk about all this stuff. And I'm like, we picked a hell of a time to be alive, because there's a lot of talk about this specific era is like the fucking turning point for humanity, supposedly. I don't know if it's true, but that's what I've seen a lot. And if you think that you chose this time to be alive for whatever reason that we're here, it's a very interesting time to be alive. It's so crazy. It's wild. Just think of like the shit that's happened in just 30 years, 40 years, whatever. That's crazy.
I mean,
it's crazy.
You talk about that cycle that soft men create hard times. Hard times create strong men create easy times. Then the cycle repeats. Mm-hmm. Everybody wondering why we're going through so much shit right now. I think it's because we're that tough generation. We're the strong generation, and we're paving the way into that easy future. Like that's where the part of the cycle I think that we're on currently.
I agree. I think we're on it too, and I think humanity itself is, you know, I think it's going to be a whole different type of reality from now on. You know, in the next decade or 5 years, it's not. I have a feeling it might be unrecognizable. It may be completely different than what we ever fucking thought. Because if you want to say that there is technology that's been hitting, and then it becomes unhidden and released, we could be set on a future of like Star Trek. I mean, you don't know. We don't really know.
And technology speeds up just look at how long it took to get to the cell phone. Then look at cell phones from 2000 to now.
Yeah.
Like technology and everything speeds up regardless.
It's insane.
So,
and you want to say there's other shit back there, anti-gravity devices, chips, whatever. If we really have that shit, if they've really reverse engineered some of that shit and they actually have it, I mean, and it comes out for real, that'll change everything. Energy shit where we're not, you know, it's not about, you know, the energy devices supposedly that it's like endless energy and shit. Like if that's real.
Oh, I guarantee you it's real. Tesla was already creating that stuff back in the day. And then they went and hid all that information. So
it's real.
They got to be using something for power at these like underground military bunkers and stuff. I guarantee you they got recurring energy.
That they have it. And if that shit goes public, that'll change the face of everything quick as shit. We won't be like crawling around anymore with technology like slowly progressed. It's going to be crazy. So,
but that goes back into the materialistic aspect, because back in the day when it was the race between Edison and Tesla, obviously Tesla was always going to come out on top because he was the one that found the means to be able to charge people for every piece that they use versus the free one. So with those controlling minds in the past, of course, the one that makes it so they're able to make money off it is always going to be the top choice. It's not what's best for humanity. It's what they can make the most money off of.
If money continues to be something, I mean,
that's what I'm saying. If we're moving away from the materialistic aspect of society, then that's not going to be a thought. I think it's going to be not within the next couple of years necessarily, but I think that when our generation is the older generation in control of everything, that's when I think that all of this stuff is going to happen. But we had to live through all of this stuff to get to the point where we would be able to receive this information. And again, it not like shatter people's paradigms. Like it almost seems like we're on a life of being prepped to get to a point where we can deal with this information. The younger generation will just be born into it and not even think twice about it.
It won't even matter. Yeah, I think you're right about that. I think because
we went from analog to digital. Like how many generations have done that?
Bro, at this point, Bigfoot could knock on my door to open and be like, "What's up, bro? You need a beer? Like, what's going on?" Like, nothing would shock me. Like, literally, I'm at that point where literally nothing is gonna shock. You could be like, "Hey, dogmen are real. They're in the national forest. Our government feeds them people. Whatever the fuck, I don't know." And I would be like, "Okay." I mean, I'm at that point.
That's where I'm at too, man. I know I get like off the wall sometime on the show, but it's like I don't discredit anything that I haven't actually experienced myself.
No,
you know what I mean?
Don't know. I mean,
I really don't fucking know.
No, I mean, you'll be like, "Oh yeah, they made a deal with these aliens that they could take 1,000 people a year," and okay. I wouldn't be surprised. Nothing would like that would surprise.
That would shock me less than your government's been telling the truth.
Actually, they've been telling the truth all the. That would be like, there's no way.
That would be like the ultimate shocking statement is that no politician has ever actually lied. That would be the paradigm shattering thing for me.
I always say, like, I always ask you, like, what is your favorite one that would be like you want it to be true, or would you got some kind of evidence 100% that it's true? And mine would probably be either the inner Earth, that there's things in there like other civilizations, or the outside Antarctica thing. There's way more land. I love those. They're so interesting. That's my favorite one. I'm like, I hope that's real. That's so fucking cool.
I mean, I'm not necessarily saying that there's like a flat Earth or there's an ice wall or anything like that, but all I'm saying is the fact that we usually fly around the Earth from west to east or east to west, but they never end up going north around to get to anywhere, even if it is a closer thing. So, I mean, the Earth could be bigger. I don't know for sure, but I tend to fall more into like the globe Earth theory, but I still entertain all possibilities. But I do definitely entertain the possibility of miscommunication between the whole idea that the Earth could be a lot bigger and there is more stuff on the top of the planet. It's just that we all stay down over on this way, and that's why we purposely travel around this way.
Yeah, because they said, hey, if you come over here, we're going to fucking wipe you out.
Yeah, you guys stay down there.
and the big, like, as fun as that those theories are, the more land, whether it's inside or outside, whatever, for me, the confirmation for that stuff is like, when the nukes start dropping, these UFOs start showing up, and it's like, hey, you got to stop nuking shit. Like, we're not gonna let you do that no more. Which, why would they care that much unless they're on this planet somewhere too?
The other theory that I've thrown on that one too is if they are interdimensional, but they're existing within the same area as us, it seems like something nuclear would affect multiple realities. Yeah. Like if you split a particle, it would be something that echoes through multiple dimensions. So even if they are existing in the same place as us, but they're not the same reality, if they destroy this planet, I think it would create a ripple through because it's nuclear.
Like a different dimension.
Like it would ripple through the dimensions because you're literally like splicing a particle.
Oh, bro, that's a good one. I like that. See, that's another one that makes me feel like they're here somehow. They're on the planet somewhere, either dimension 4, 2, another continent, inside, out. They're somewhere here that they're like, hey, you motherfuckers are going to stop nuking shit because you're fucking our shit up too. And we ain't going to let you do that. Because that's only because if they're from some other planet, they're not going to give a shit. I mean, not that much. If they're just watching like a scientist, they're like, look at them fucking bombing each other again. What the fuck?
Unless that's one of those things that they don't want the whole universe to have access to. So it's a matter of like, they watch it because they know that even if we all destroy ourselves and some other race comes and finds the remnants of this and advances it more, that it may fuck everybody. Like the stupid primitive ones are the ones that figured out how to split particles. The rest of us knew not to even touch it, but those dumb fucks are sitting over there splitting particles. Like, God damn it, why did you have to start this trend?
They're like, you really did this? You idiots? Do you even know what this can do? I mean, there's obviously a reason that they like go to bases and turn off, like they've done shit like that before. So I would love that. Like, and again, knowledge, right? I want the knowledge. Like, I just want to know what the hell is it? And I don't want to have to die to learn it. I just want to know.
Or it's too advanced for us at the time, and we somehow got a hold of something that's way more advanced than us. And it's a matter of almost like giving a hand grenade to a bunch of apes, and you're being like, okay, well, you guys stop before you end up hurting somebody else besides each other.
That's actually interesting. That would be really funny if they reverse engineered some craft that crashed or they gave to us, and they end up getting nuclear bombs out of it instead of like free energy. And they were like, you're supposed to get free energy out of this. Why the fuck are you bombing each other with it? You stupid asses. We try to help you.
Or this is way too advanced for you. You guys need to stop messing with this before you guys end up hurting yourselves and the rest of us. Like, like I said, it's like somebody like giving like hand grenades to a bunch of apes and then being like, all right, you guys, we're going to take these back because if you throw them at our town where we live, you're going to affect us now. Like,
it's got to be something like that. They got to be. I like the dimensional one though. That's actually really interesting. I never thought of that one. But then I always say too, and not about aliens, but about spirit shit. I'm like, they're all around us, dude. These things are just. I really think that they're everywhere. You know, I don't know if there's people trapped or if they're ghosts or demons, whatever. I think there's a whole realm of these motherfuckers, whatever, hanging around, and in these people that are, you know, low vibrational people, like either angry people, miserable people, drug addicts, alcoholics, whatever. You're walking around, you go to Walmart. There's one in the store. Oh, you know, this guy's got good energy. I can eat on him for a little bit, and they just fuck. I think that's how it works. They go home with you. And then, you know, your life starts getting bad. And they're kind of like, you know, part of that whole thing, whatever that is. And I always wonder, I'm like, they're probably all over the place, man. They're probably literally everywhere, and we can't see them. But that makes me think of like they're in that reality above. That piece of paper that's on top of ours. You know, it's like kind of there. Maybe you can see it sometimes. You know, when the moon's just right, those two realities, you can kind of see through the paper.
Yep, that's kind of how I've always associated. Or maybe they're in between layers of reality, like they hadn't fully like elevated, so they're kind of like stuck on this in between. Like stuck. Or I mean, even on another side, just another kind of weird thing to think about, man. If the planet itself is the thing that's conscious, and we're just living within it, or living on top of it, within it, you know, maybe like when the UFOs come to stop nuclear disasters, try to attempt to stop them. It's almost like the concept of like what blood cells rushing in to like try to stop an infection from coming in. That it's just like the world trying to find a way to like correct itself because maybe it is like, somewhat of like a conscious being itself.
Well, that's interesting. They always say the Earth's alive. I mean, there's a lot of that talk in the spiritual community that it has its own soul or spirit or whatever. I mean, that's pretty interesting too.
I mean, I definitely think it's possible that there's a lot of consciousnesses that exist that we just don't understand because we're looking at things from a biological, carbon-based viewpoint. But I think that, like, celestial bodies can definitely be conscious. It's just not the same level of consciousness as us, so we don't view it as conscious, but maybe it's a consciousness that's significantly more advanced than our consciousness, to the point where maybe they can even manipulate what they choose to have on our surface, and getting into the whole, like, possibly misconstruing ideas through different religions and stuff. Like maybe the planet itself is the one that we speak of as God, as whatever, all of this stuff. Absolutely. And its creation was choosing what exists within its within even on whatever on its surface.
Yeah, no, I mean it could be. And that's the thing that's like so interesting is because the knowledge was hidden and controlled, we don't really know what is it. And it's just, you know, I hate that because I want to know so bad, but it's just one of those things. You'll get there, right? You'll figure it out at some point. Or maybe it's your soul. You die. You'll be like, oh, now I understand. Maybe it's that. I mean, that's what it is. It's fine.
Well, how many near-death experiences have you heard about where people's last, or not near-death, but people even just passing, where the last thing they'll say is something like, oh, now I understand, and then they pass.
Oh, it makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, it makes sense now. Yeah.
That's probably what it is. It's probably our human brain can't handle it. Because honestly, I think reality, whatever reality is just so much more weirder than what we could ever even think of.
Hold that thought. We'll be right back. And we are back, so let's hop right in. Honestly, I think that physical bodies are a downgrade, and we're actually 100%. Something way more. And in turn, by going into a physical body, we're downgrading from what our actual consciousness is capable of.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I like that whole thing of like, you're...
it's like clocking yourself down.
Yeah, like your main, like you have a soul form and it's there up there, and your piece of it is down here in this sky for 80 years or 90, and you're learning certain shit that you wanted to learn. And then that gets into that whole weird, like, if there's like your real soul's above and it just sent like a piece of it down for this life, right? And then it sent some others down for other lives and other times, or I guess the whole twin flame thing. Suppose it's the same soul, pieces of it. Like, it's kind of fucking interesting. But then, you know, the whole we're all God thing, right? We're all pieces of the creator. That's what they say too. So,
see, I think all of these different things have a different component to the puzzle. And it's like you have to put all the pieces together. I think all of them are right, but they're also wrong in other aspects.
Yeah, I think you're
Like
right.
everybody just has a piece of the puzzle, and they formed this entire belief system off of a piece of the puzzle. Like I don't remember where I heard it from, but there was this old thing where it was supposed to be like 4 gurus. One of them specialized in this, and this. And when they finally came and they talked to whatever their god or whatever their higher being was, they basically said like, all of you split the 4 things that I tried to give all of you together. If you would have put them all together, you would have figured it out way sooner.
That's funny. That's funny. That makes sense. That's probably every religion, literally.
That's what I'm saying,
Probably
man.
it's probably all pieces of.
The problem is
actual
people
story.
hyper focus on their one particular religion instead of actually picking up little pieces. And it seems like people are kind of transitioning and changing a bit now where they're starting to realize that every religion has a great flood myth. Every religion has this. There's all these different components that just seem like different viewpoints of the same events. And it's just a matter that everybody, again, hyper focuses on their one and not realize, they don't realize how many connecting pieces there are scattered through every single thing. Like even in the Epic of Gilgamesh, the oldest story that we know about, there's references to the Great Flood. Like,
oh yeah, like obviously it happened, and like I always say too, like religion, any religion and science are literally 2 sides of the same. They're on the same coin, right? And they're always fighting each other and trying to disprove the other or prove the other. And it's like, yo, guys, can you work together? Because I bet if you work together, you'd actually like get some headway and like really what's going on here. Like, can we just stop trying to disprove shit and just work as a team? Because if you did that, I think you would actually get some answers here.
I mean, I make this reference all the time, but through understanding, alchemy turned into chemistry, and it was just a matter of scientific understanding where something went from mystical to scientific. So I think that a lot of this stuff that is spiritual does have some type of constant backing to it. And it's just a matter of us being able to figure it out. And it's actually supposed to be a clashing between science and spirituality because science is what we use as our construct to be able to understand things. So I think that with the matter of enough time, effort, whatever put into it, science may take on a different non-literal physical term because, I mean, we're getting into astrophysics now, which is all theoretical stuff anyways, but it's still considered science. I think that it's a matter of that we just need to understand things more and then we can call it a science and then it stops becoming this magical thing because we figure out how it actually works in practice because that's what we have to do as humans because that's how we go through understanding things.
Yeah, naming things, right? Like we said, naming things. Like we have to name something to understand it, right? And that's part of why I always just think a lot of that stuff is different names for similar beings or the same beings or the same class of beings, maybe, I don't know. But it's just super interesting.
Oh yeah.
And maybe like what I'm hinting was said earlier, maybe my soul is bright because it is one of those other ones, or that's maybe what the origin of it is. And they're like, oh, that's super bright because he's from another planet. I don't know. There's a reason. I don't know how long I've been on this freaking place. Too long. I'm over it. I'm just over it. Earth's crazy. It's insane. I mean, I love the whole. It's a school and, it's accelerated learning. I love that concept. It's probably true, to be honest, because Earth is kind of a video game in a really weird way.
Organic simulation. That's what I always say.
I mean, it's literally a simulation. Like it's insane. It's the craziest game ever played. It's just wild shit, So I hope it, I hope my life does go great for the rest of it. And it's fine. I mean, it is what I make it. So I'm going to make it that way. But I do have that sense of weight that's not there anymore because it's like weird, it's like you get this knowledge and you're like, okay, this is cool. But like, if the world's going to shit, then what does it matter?
Yeah, literally.
What does it matter? But then it's not like, I don't think it is. I think that's an illusion. I don't think it really is going bad like that. I think it make it look that way.
Yeah, because I mean, if you go outside, it's not nearly as crazy as they make it sound like.
The birds are singing, the birds are doing their thing, going to work. Like life is life in, Yeah, in some places it's terrible, but in my specific place it's not. And I'm not going to let it be because I'm going to make it what I want. Bottom line.
Mm-hmm. So I guess this might be a good spot for words of wisdom. And then after that, you mentioned your books a few times. So before we start kind of closing stuff out, I want you to kind of give people a little bit of an introduction to your books and stuff. Since you said you're an author, you might as well spotlight yourself a little bit. But of course, after this conversation, good spot for words of wisdom. So if there's any words of wisdom you could bestow on the listeners, what might it be?
So words of wisdom, I mean, I've kind of harped on them a lot, but your life is what you make it. So go make it how you want, and whatever that means for you is what it means for you. So if you need to make different choices, even if they're hard, do it. Because if you're not happy in your life, You're only gonna be here for a little bit. It goes really fast, and you don't want to live with regret, right? Like you want to be 20 years from now being like, why did I waste 15 years doing this? So, yeah, so it's in your control, your power.
And part of
You're a
that is,
creator.
of course, following your passions. And you, of course,
Absolutely.
following your passions as far as writing goes, which plays off perfectly into this. Why don't you let everybody know about your books that you kind of referenced a little bit through the episode today?
Oh, sure. So I have two that I've self-published, and then there's one that I'm writing right now that's in the paranormal vein, which I'll talk about in a second. But one book is called Endless. You can look it up on Amazon. There's Kindles and hardcover, softcover. Funny enough, this book is actually about reincarnation in a way. Main character is a vampire who doesn't ever die. The love of his life does. She keeps getting reincarnated from a curse. Keeps finding her. She keeps dying. It goes through timelines. Interesting. Kind of goes through eras that I like. So it's kind of funny.
I was going to say, it seems like they're nonfiction, but they're placed using kind of like your experiences as somewhat of like the background for them.
Japan is one of the eras that he's in. So is Egypt. So yeah, a little bit of timeline stuff in there.
Inspired by you, but written as fiction.
Yes, absolutely. Epic love story, action. I love vampire stuff, so I wrote it as if I've never really seen that type of story in a vampire thing of, okay, what is that actually to be immortal? What is that like? And that loneliness of it's just constant. And then, oh, you're light, you found your love. That's great. Oh, she died. Oh, wait, you found her again 100 years later. Like just going through that was really cool. And then the action of vampire action, of course, I wrote it very bloody, of course. So it's a cool story.
There's no other way to do a good vampire story.
Yeah.
You can't make them sparkle.
Yeah. Tons of action, ton of blood, love, romance. It's got everything. This is the book that, in my honeymoon in the ocean, clear blue ocean, this hit me in the back of my head as an idea. And as a writer, an author, I'll get ideas for certain stories. And if I don't put work into them, which just means start writing it. Even that took me 2 years to write that because I did it on and off. But if I don't put some work, and I don't know if other creative people feel the same way, but it's almost like an idea comes from above and it goes to me. And then if I just ignore it or just abandon it because I don't want to do it,
pops up with somebody else doing it.
It will go to someone else and they will write something, but it won't be the way I did it. And I'll see it years from now and be pissed because it's like, that was my idea. So anytime I get ideas now for stories, I start writing them because if I start writing them, in my opinion, it's like it saves it to me, to this avatar. And as long as I'm working on it, no one else will get it.
Dude, I get that with like theories on shows, dude. I'll throw some like off the wall thing. Then all of a sudden, like 2 years later, I'll have somebody on the show and they'll have this book that they started writing where it was like, oh yeah, I'm starting to work on this book. And it's like this theory connecting everything. And I'm just like, holy shit, I had that same thought a couple of years ago.
Yes.
So see, and it's like shit that passes. I feel like I actually have to write a book about one of these weird theories I get now, you know?
I will tell you this. If you don't do it, someone gets it. And every story or any idea that and you meet people, I had an idea for an invention. I didn't do anything. And then someone invents it. Because in my experience, these inventions, writings, art, whatever, all these different things, they're thrown out there in the big old wide web that we're all connected to that we can't see. And it pings somebody. And if that person doesn't do it in an allotted time, and I don't know how long that time is, I don't know if it's a year, if it's 6 months, I don't know the time. But if you don't start working on it, it disappears and goes to someone else. And they get the wisp of that idea that you had. And then they do their own creative version of it. And it's different, but it's got enough of that idea for you to go, damn, man, that's something I would have done. So this hit me in literally the back of my head as my wife's on the beach on our honeymoon, and I'm just chilling in the ocean, absorbing it and just taking it in. I love it. I love the ocean. And it's like, bam! And I literally looked at her and said, babe, I got to write another book. She's like, really? I said, I have to write the book. That night, I literally opened my laptop and started writing this.
On your honeymoon?
I started writing at least the first chapter because it already started formulating and the character started building and the world started building. And then even when I sit down to write, I don't take credit for it because it's like I'm channeling the story. And I don't know how other way to say that because as I'm writing, it's just coming to me. It's not like I'm thinking like, what's the next scene? It's just, it seems to flow. I don't know if that's just me, but that's how it is for me. So I started doing it, and that's the book, Endless. Took me 2 years to finish it because I would stop and start and stop and start for that one. And then this one, Incarnate, this is the first book. I wrote this during COVID because I was going to do one thing was write a book in COVID. I wanted to do something because I never wrote a novel. I always wrote comic scripts, and I have a lot of webtoons and stuff that is out there under, if you look up Creationist Life, you'll see all my stuff. But so I wanted to write a novel. So this is really the way I look at it is end of the world apocalypse story, like, Walking Dead war type thing where everyone's dying and getting killed. But instead of zombies, it's AI robots. So that's fun. And there's actually a fantasy twist in the robots, the consciousness of the robots. It's not just a consciousness of AI. It's actually possessed by an ancient entity. I won't spoil what it is. But yeah, that story is super fun because it blends like fantasy and sci-fi and like end of the world apocalypse all kind of roped together. So this is actually a really fun book. I want to write more, but it takes so long to write these books. It's like I don't want to write second ones if the first ones don't go, super popular,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Move on to the next one and try that
Move
next
on to the
idea.
next one. Yeah.
Hold that thought. We'll be right back. And we are back. So let's hop right in.
So the last book I've started writing it because again, I had to start it. But this is not this is not going to be a fiction book. It's a nonfiction book. So it's going to be called Paranormal Ancestry. And it's actually real life stories from friends and family of different paranormal events that have happened to them in their lives. And I'm compiling a book of it because I have this feeling that at least my circle of influence of people, a lot of them have had paranormal experiences that maybe they're not talking about. And I want to try to chart and connect different events to different things and maybe even ages. Oh, why is everyone in my family at 12 having this similar experience of a shadow person or of a premonition? Like whatever, I want to try to connect it. So it's literally me interviewing family members, friends, and I'm going to compile them all in a book. And hopefully, I want more people to talk about this stuff because I really think a lot of people have stories that they just don't talk about. I think it's a large percent. I think it's a majority of the population has something that's happened.
Well, when it comes to the paranormal, you bring that stuff up and everybody goes, well, I don't know if it was paranormal, but I had this weird thing that happened to me once.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody has at least one weird, questionable thing.
Yes, everyone does. So I want to shine that light on it. That's why I do this podcast, because it's not a stigma. Talk about it. It's not ridiculous, number one. And number two, the idea for my family came because I've heard so many stories growing up from different family members. And I'm like, well, what if like a lot of the boys at 10 to 13 have a very certain experience, or the girls, or like I want to see if I can find commonalities in at least my family stories or friends' stories of different types of paranormal events. At what ages did they happen? Was there something going on in their life that triggered that? I want to try to like research that, at least in my own ancestry, my own family tree, and see if I can do that. That'd be fun. So that's something I'm working on slowly.
Very cool idea. And it'll probably inspire people to possibly even try to do the same thing for themselves.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, I mean, like I said earlier, the UFO thing tends to kick off a paranormal shitstorm for the next 20 years. And a lot of people, it's interesting. Or, whatever. I want to see if there's stuff like that, at least in my own family.
Oh yeah, dude. I'm excited to check out that one when you end up dropping it. Maybe when you get it all tied together, you can come back on and we can talk about it a little bit more when you have all the ideas established and stuff, because I think it'd be really cool to get into, man.
Yeah, I've already interviewed like dad, my mother, grandma, like different people, but I want to go to every person and give me your top three. That I always ask them the top three and make them tell me three. So at the end of
set the bar high, so if somebody has a lot or if somebody only has one, at least you get three out of them, At
least you get three, and I want it. I'm gonna at the end of all of it. I'm recording the interviews too, like audio wise, just in case. I don't know if I'm gonna use that, but just to be cool to have it. And I want to know. I want to try to chart experiences, or I guess categories of experiences would be the word. Yeah.
Well,
see what I find.
Oh yeah, dude. Like I said, let me know when you come back around to that one, and I would definitely love to be able to get into it on the show once you get everything established.
Oh, yeah.
And as far as your books go, man, getting a hold of you for any reason whatsoever, where can everybody come and find you? Where can people come and pick up your books from? And where can people just connect with you, maybe if they have similar stories and they want to share experiences?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So the easiest way to find all my work on the books, the novels, is just typing my first and last name into Amazon. It'll pull all of them. For my web comics and stuff, if you look up Creationist Life, that's my handle for Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. You can message me there and stuff. They all have their profile links for all my work. So if you find me on one of the social medias, you'll find the links to all the different stuff out there that I have.
And of course, I will include all the links down in the show description. I will include all the ones for the individual Amazon books too and everything, so everybody can find everything quick and easy. And man, I appreciate you making the time to come on today, get into this conversation, share the rest of your experience. Glad you remembered to recontact me again to get back into it. And hopefully you remember, one of us remembers when you get this book finished that we can dive back in and we can reconnect again. Because I always like an excuse to reconnect with people again, man.
Absolutely, brother. Well, I appreciate you having me, man. Thank you.
If anyone is interested in being a guest on the show, having me as a guest on your show, sponsoring the show, or getting a hold of me for any reason whatsoever, you guys can get a hold of me through email, which is increaseofallrealitypodcast@outlook.com, or through social media, Instagram or Facebook. Instagram is the one that I'm the most active on, of course. Or you guys can get a hold of me through the submission forms, which are on the link tree. One of which is to contact me, and the other one is to report an encounter. So also, don't forget to report those encounters through that or through ommencounterreports@outlook.com. And every single thing that I mentioned throughout the episode is all available in the link tree, which is available down in the show description. And with that, hope you guys enjoyed the conversation, and I'll catch you on the next one. Have a good night, everybody.
Reality isn't what it seems. Abductees taking aboard a craft with a tractor beam. Is life a simulation or an astral dream? Aliens travel through black holes in different galaxies. Life is a bizarre odyssey, with the mic talking about philosophy. Well, Bigfoot is stalking campers as a Wendigo walks through the woods of sharpened antlers, using a Ouija board to talk to the dead like a necromancer. There's so many questions and not enough answers. So if you're interested in mysteries and abnormalities, tune in and listen to Inquiries of Our Reality. So if you're interested in mysteries and abnormalities, tune in and listen to Inquiries of Our Reality.